Welcome back, everyone.
Morning, everybody.
Joe here.
Kevin?
All right. Honestly, I don't understand the season 5 hate.
Yeah, I mean, we're
I
still.
don't get it. I really
I can see where it's a little uneven compared to other seasons. Like, I understand that.
But in terms
Um,
of quality, the quality is
no,
still
the
fantastic.
quality hasn't dropped. There've been some moments where I'm like, oh, okay. Like, there's some people like
The Will thing is the big one.
the Will thing is the big one for me.
Certain
And
characterizations of
and
like
I haven't decided where I'm at yet on
sure.
that. I'm with a couple of the Patreon subscribers. To me, the cringiest moment I've seen on the show came in this season. Personally, this is just my opinion. When Josh is, in trouble,
Oh, okay.
when Josh is the is the administration pariah, and they stop in the taxi cab and he gets out and yells, "You want a piece of me?" at the Capitol building. I was
Sure.
like, okay, I feel like that's something Aaron Sorkin would not have done.
Probably not.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
I thought that one really kind of took me out of that episode.
It did feel very early 2000s.
Yeah, it was like, okay, yeah, it was a little bit of like Will Smith in Independence Day. I was like, all right,
Welcome to Earth.
welcome to Earth. Yeah, exactly. That's what I call a close encounter. You have to give him multiple taglines all in that one scene.
But in terms of them jumping the shark, though, it hasn't happened yet.
No. I don't think it does. I've never heard of anybody complaining that it does. But I'm with you. The Will thing is still my big one. Now that he and Toby have finally actually started to get combative with each other about what he's willing to do and not do, which makes sense for Will. I thought we were always going to have that.
Sure.
And now that he's being moved out of the building and across the street, it's like, well, are we going to see less Will, or does this just up the confrontation?
I think it does. I really do. It's up the confrontation a lot, and we might see less of him. But at the same time, he's one of the main. He's part of the main cast.
He's part of the main cast, and he's. I just think we get to the point where I expected early on. Like, I thought the big thing when he went to work for the vice president, the inevitable outcome is going to be, now that he's working for this other guy and he's so capable, he's going to be kind of in the role that oh my God, I'm totally blanking out the vice president before. Hoynes. Yeah. My God, that Hoynes was in, right? Because Bob Russell is we've established he's not that bright of a guy, and so Will's going to do a lot of the talking for him as opposed to Hoynes, who is capable of doing it himself. So I feel like that adversarial role we had with Hoynes is not going to be filled with Will.
No,
does that kind of make sense?
It does. Excuse me. And I was thinking, I said this on Patreon the other day. It kind of makes you miss Hoynes a little bit,
Oh, I loved Hoynes. Yeah,
I love
for
Hoynes
sure.
a lot. And if Bob is going to be I don't want to say foil, but he's going to cause contention there with the main cast.
Bob is an interesting character to me because in the administration, on purpose, right? We've set up that like this wonderful administration we've had for 5 seasons now, that everyone is really good at their jobs, that everyone is really capable. And now that in season 5, which I don't think is a bad decision at all, we've introduced a character who is not. Who is not up to the role that he's in, who is not capable, and who's not bright.
Nobody wanted him there, really.
Right, nobody wanted him. The Republicans did, as Toby pointed out. We didn't pick him, the Republicans did.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting now that we have Will, who is also smart and capable, but his job is to prop this guy up. And there's going to be fights over that.
And he took that job, too.
Willingly.
Yeah.
It's like, which, again, is a strange choice that I'm not sure I'm still on board with. Is the show is like, it seemed out of character for Will to quit working for the president and go work for a guy that he should not have any respect for.
Sure, and I like dramatic TV. We're watching a drama. There should be conflict. There should be that situation.
I agree.
It is just curious as to where.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice because that just kind of takes Will out of the team and puts him on the other side, right? It's almost like he quit and started being a lobbyist for conservative issues.
Yeah,
almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it's, as soon as he went to do it, I thought it was inevitable that we were going to get there. And certainly knew Toby wasn't going to like it because they really set up Toby wanting to have Will take care of all of the responsibilities of the office while he transitioned into more of a policy role. Sure. And now he can't. Now he's stuck doing all that work because Will left. So the animosity was always going to be there.
Man, I'm dying today. You're right. The animosity. I'm anticipating this episode is going to ramp up quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't think we're done with the confrontation between those two guys.
No.
All right, we're going to go and get started here.
I'm dying. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm a little under the weather, so apologies for the sniffles, but we're going to get through this episode.
Absolutely. We do want to go and thank all of our Patreon subscribers for being here with us. I do want to go ahead and thank Actuarial Lurker, Balas Foldes, Chris, Jeff, Christy Goverston, NJ, Surigunda Varapu, Weird Magic, and Torgeir Lingstad. Thank you so much, guys. We're really happy you're here with us.
Yes, we are. And if you guys are watching this for the first time on YouTube, welcome to our channel. If you'd mind hitting the like button for us, please leave us a comment down below and hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on the new content we have coming your way.
If you'd like to see a full reaction to this and everything else we've watched or are currently watching, please check out the link in the description below our Patreon page. On every show we're watching, including The West Wing, we are at least 4 episodes ahead on Patreon of where we are on YouTube. So if you're watching the YouTube edits and would like to keep going, you can do it on our Patreon page. You're going to have to sync and watch along on your own source material. Excuse me, you're only going to see and hear us for copyright purposes. We're also watching 30 Rock as a Patreon exclusive. And
There it is.
And next week we're going to wrap up Mad Men, and the week after we'll start The Wire.
I can't wait for that. It's going to be so great.
All right, Patreon subscribers, welcome back. We're going to begin episode 10 here in 3, 2, 1, go. It's called The Stormy Present. This would have been a good time of an episode during the Trump campaign.
Right? I was going more Tom Clancy with it. You're right, yeah.
It's the Stormy Daniels Present.
Please tell President Lassiter I'll call him back. I'm late as it is. I know he called before.
This is like a thriller.
Yeah.
It's Leo.
Several hours ago, protesters began gathering in Riyadh, calling for free speech, press, and popular elections. One thing's clear, Mr. President, in Riyadh, this has never happened before.
Arab Spring here? Way early?
Okay, so what was that letter?
He said President Lassiter. Was he a former president? I assumed he was a foreign president, but Lassiter's pretty American.
It sounds like, yeah.
And it looked like it was in his desk.
Okay, well.
Maybe it's his predecessor who left a note for him.
The number in the streets seems now to be several thousand, primarily students and young clerics, Mr. President, and they seem to be using anti-American rhetoric.
If they are democratic,
Sir, I don't need to remind you that any sort of chaos on the Arabian Peninsula could destabilize the entire Middle East.
Can't believe they haven't fired him yet.
Yeah, Hutchinson? Is that what his name was?
Yeah.
Yes, the president will be attending the annual gala at Ford's Theater tonight. Yes, it's the theater where Lincoln was shot. Yes, we're expecting the president's Lincoln Alia to be in rare form. There are copies of the Bill of Rights lying around?
George Washington sent copies to each of the 13 original colonies. North Carolina's got snatched at the end of the Civil War by one of Sherman's men. The FBI seized the document. Both states are claiming ownership, and the case is landing in federal courts.
Didn't North Carolina steal the whalers?
A civil war, a fanatical new regime.
Yeah, it's destabilizing for sure.
Oh, well, you got to talk to the president about Lincoln, about the Civil War. Sit with him. It's educational.
Angela, why don't you ride with me?
Yeah, there you go. And the hazing begins.
Yeah.
I think it'd be kind of cool. You get to learn something.
Sure.
President Lassiter is dead.
Yo.
Interesting cover of going to Ford's Theater on that. Yeah.
Okay.
President Lassiter's funeral will be held at the Lassiter Library in Costa Mesa.
The one with the fake oval.
We've got a dead president and a time bomb in Riyadh, and you're arbitrating the Civil War?
I did hear they're threatening to rally in Raleigh.
Yikes.
Tell me we're not conducting mind control research at the Pentagon.
We're not conducting mind control research at the Pentagon.
I don't know if I believe him.
Right?
And Leo here thought you were coming to talk about the protest.
protest? Hardly. A few errant schoolboys.
Your country's crying out for reform.
These things must be done at the proper pace. When they truly wish to denounce us. You know what they say? They call us Americans.
That's a good line.
Yeah, it is.
Why former President Newman wanted to fly with the GOP geriatric brigade.
We bought it legitimately.
You stole it.
Well, I think we're off to a promising start.
I was going to say, they came
It
out
is a
of guns
copy of the
blazing.
Bill of Rights. It belongs.
To the Union.
You went to law school at Yale.
Well, Yale's close to home.
You're from
You're
Connecticut.
From Connecticut?
Go Whalers.
Well, I mean, if every state got a copy, then Connecticut has 2 and took North Carolina's.
I guess.
I'm Dr. Max Milkman from the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency.
Those protesters are talking about democracy, Jay.
Well, we don't know what they're talking about, DW, not yet.
Voted for you a couple of times.
You seem to be voting against me at the moment.
It's hard to get Toby to speak his mind.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Always count on Toby.
You think we should colonize?
No, I think we should run away as fast and as far away as we can.
Are they at risk?
The protesters are refusing to let anyone in or out until their demands are met.
So, yes.
Managed to identify a number of the leaders of the protest. They appear to be renegade members of the royal family.
Gentlemen, this looks and feels like the beginning of a real democratic movement. Over the next few hours, as we learn more
Sir,
about...
this is Iran in 79, not 97.
North Carolina is the reason we have a Bill of Rights in the first place. Your midnight-riding New England patriots were ready to dump the bill into the Long Island Sound. Connecticut has the highest per capita income in the country. They want the damn piece of paper so badly, why don't they just offer to compensate North Carolina?
Oh, we'd be willing to pay.
Is that going to end it?
And good to see
There he
you.
is.
Mr. President, it's good to see you.
I should have taken a longer vacation.
And let him wage war with the rest of the Arab world? To think I heard you were one of my biggest fans. We need wholesale change in the region. This is an opportunity. We're the only superpower left. Why wouldn't we go into Riyadh?
Yeah, we learned with England that doesn't work. Colonialism doesn't work.
If this protest is a call for democracy, I think we should create a provisional secular government.
You start saddling up camels in every country in the Middle East, then you better be prepared to spend the next 50 years sifting through sand.
It's kind of like George W. Bush's policy versus everyone else.
Yeah. It's all part of a new counterterrorism initiative, and the heart of our strategy is biosurveillance, human identification at a distance, where we use a variety of biometric technologies to focus on body parts.
But the men on this plane spent the better part of the late 20th century trying to play God in other countries.
That's the other thing, yeah.
What do you say to that?
Did you ever meet President Lassiter? I wished I'd taken more of his calls. Okay. Tell Alexander I want the Truman Battle Group moved into the Gulf and set up a call with Batar. Real change. We can start looking for a new kingdom.
Are we ever going to find out what the note was that he left him?
I kind of forgot about it, honestly.
But get word to the Crown Prince. Any unprovoked use of force, and I'm going to freeze the sale of all military arms. Is the present war a struggle for a just and secure peace, or for a new balance of power? But a community of power, not organized rivalries, but an organized common peace.
I like he's getting a chance to talk to a conservative and a liberal ex-president about this.
It's nice, right?
Yeah.
The back and forth.
He started making all the strange trips to nonsense places, old battlefields. But I can't help wonder how he'd react to the situation in Riyadh.
Hi, Dad.
Mal, what are you doing here?
Mom's getting remarried.
I know that.
I didn't want you to be alone when you heard.
It's okay.
Oh my God, that's so sweet. Yeah.
Mr. President, I want to thank you for coming.
Of course I came, Libby.
I know he called you just the other day, but you didn't call him back.
Well, he's the president. He's a busy guy.
Yeah.
And he's taken a million of those calls, he said.
For sure.
His job was done, but he took to traveling. Any spot where American boys had shed blood.
That's cool, yeah.
He'd fill a jar, come back to this room, this oval room he'd had built.
I always thought I was going crazy. I was like, is this like an Oval Office?
He took to eating here and sleeping here.
That is kind of
because he left this for you.
That's a good setup because it looked like it was being left in the Oval Office.
It did.
We owe it to ourselves to stand in this dirt as survivors and witnesses.
Oh, go see Lincoln and listen.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's a great shot, isn't it?
Yeah. I got to see this when I was a little kid, and it was amazing.
I did too. I think I was at high school, maybe, or middle school, but yeah.
We lived in Virginia.
Absolutely
Virginia very briefly, and for field trips, we get to go to D.C.
I went one time with my family and loved every minute of it. I was the biggest nerd in my family.
Yeah.
So I had more fun in D.C. than anyone I was related to.
My grandpa, who I mentioned, he got me a book of all the presidents in there, and I think Bush had to be president back then, and I used to try to memorize every single president.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I was like in second grade.
That's really cool.
I've forgotten some at this point, but still, I love I love this episode. I really did, but I think that the patriotism of all the presidents really shone through.
Yeah, absolutely. I like getting everybody's perspective, and I really loved Lassiter's note there at the end, right? The gap between making the decision to send people into harm's way and the human cost of doing it.
Yeah.
Close the gap on that. You need to understand what, you really need the perspective of what the actual cost of these decisions that you make are, right?
Yeah.
Because one, these decisions aren't easy.
No.
Do we intervene in this? Do we want it to happen? Do we work in a way to not want it to happen? Do we install a stand-in regime to keep it from happening or control what's happening and deal with the problems it creates down the road? And there's such a human cost to whatever choice you make.
100%.
It's not
no
easy.
right answer.
Yeah, for sure. It's just not easy. This conveyed that really well. I really like this episode a lot.
And the discourse behind it all too was fantastic.
Yeah,
there's no real arguments. There's there are some shade thrown, but it was light.
It was light, and I really feel like it was more about everyone kind of expressing their perspective.
Yeah, it's more of a jousting, really.
Yeah, it was more like here's a perspective to consider on this issue that is not simple. Here's a different perspective on the same thing. I feel like having the death of a former president to where you bring all these other former world leaders together to let's hear your take on it. They're coming from different political backgrounds, different military backgrounds, different eras.
That's the big one, right?
Yeah, for sure.
The world has changed.
The world
constantly changing.
It's always changing. The idea that we can't address some of these situations. What felt right 20 years ago in dealing with this is not right now. And let's face it, for us now, 20 years ago when the Iraq War happened, it wasn't right in the first place, which is what a lot of this is about. Well, we have are we going to bring freedom to the Middle East? I remember Dick Cheney before the invasion of Iraq very, very wrongly said, we'll be greeted as liberators with flowers. And I'm like,
how that turned out.
Yeah, I was like, who told you that, man? And people are dead. And then Bush later, at some event, he did someone who's watching, help me out on the specifics here. He did a roast of himself kind of thing, where he did a slideshow of him looking around the Oval Office, gee, where are the weapons of mass destruction? It's supposed to be self-deprecating. And people were like, my kid died during this. Yeah, very completely. This isn't funny, man. No. People died. A lot of people died.
Sure.
And I know it was trying to be self-deprecating. He didn't mean to come across as he did. But it's so tone deaf.
Nobody told him it's probably a bad idea.
Yeah, people dying in war, it's not funny. I mean, from a president, I get it. I'm not trying to be these things are off limits for comedians. Nothing is. I'm not trying to be what you can and can't say police. But you'd think for a sitting president, that's the kind of thing you don't joke.
Sent them there.
Yeah, and you're still the president. I don't think you want to be making these kind of jokes when you sent people to die.
It's maddening. It really is.
It was. So, and
I like how this episode kind of called that too.
Yeah,
it stabilized this government. Yeah, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember. James Cromwell's character was we're going to roll in and say we're doing this for yay freedom and or whatever our intentions are going to be, but us invading, it's not if you're going to do it, be ready to be there for 50 years of mess.
For sure.
Which is what Iraq ended up being the longest invasion or Iraq and Afghanistan, the longest invasions in American history, and they weren't even supposed to be invasions.
Exactly. 20 years.
Right, which I'm sure a lot of this is referencing, right? This idea of, hey, there's this thing in the Middle East, let's roll in and take care of it. And it's it is not as simple as that.
No, and it is interesting how, we kind of thought because they addressed 9/11, sort of.
Sure, they have, right.
And, how it's fiction, it's a fake universe.
Right.
But the way they handle these situations that are happening in real life at the time, very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I like that it is, and that's why I said last week I'd really like Aaron Sorkin in our modern world to come back and do this show again with set in 2024 with a new administration.
I would love that. I think that'd be very powerful. I
would too.
It might, I don't want to say wake people up, but I think it would help people kind of look around and go.
Well, at least sift through, because in our world there's so much misinformation about everything.
Yeah.
If you've been on Twitter in the last 6 months, people fighting over the Olympics, over everything in the Olympics when they're not even watching the Olympics.
Twitter's just such a toxic place.
No, it's a cesspool of hell. It really is. But it's just, there's so much misinformation out there that it's I would like a show now, even though it's fiction, think of like let's cut through what's happening and really talk about the world as it is.
And if he does bring it back, incorporating the social media element in it all too.
That would have to be a part of it, right?
Yeah. You probably have a stand-in for Elon as well. You know, like you can really
like Glass Onion did.
Yeah. Keep underrated, by the way. That was very good social commentary. Right. But still, yeah, this episode is very prevalent, and it kind of does make me feel nostalgic from when I was a kid because the stuff that my parents were talking about and the stuff you'd see on TV that you don't really understand as a kid.
Right.
It's kind of cool that I'm getting to experience this come full circle 20 years later.
Yeah, it's 20 years later, yeah.
And it's
such a good show.
It makes you feel a lot. So.
It does. All right, we'll catch you in the next one, guys.
See ya.